Hello YouTube and welcome back to my channel. It is teddy season. I am so happy. This is the only reason I like cold weather is because I get to wear like all these furry, big, all the coats. I'm over exaggerating a little. It's only 60 degrees, but to me, that's cold. When you live in Texas and you're used to like 100-degree weather, this is cold weather. Anyways, today's video is going to be intermittent fasting, pros and cons. I've been running errands. I've been at a coffee shop getting so much work knocked out, and it's like 3 o'clock, so I'm heading home to eat, and then I'm going to sit down and talk to you guys about the pros and the cons, things that I've personally enjoyed, things that I didn't like about it when I first started it, the progress that I've acquired through said intermittent fasting, etc., etc. I haven't necessarily had like a huge dramatic change from intermittent fasting simply because I was already where I wanted to be when I started it. However, I will say that like there were things like mental clarity and like stamina and all of these other little small things that changed completely for the best. Some random things, getting really good about using reusable tumblers, trying to work on my plastic use for Starbucks, getting better at that too. Teddy coat is from IMGA. I don't know their Instagram, IMGA, whatever. I got this at Nordstrom. No. Urban Outfitters. I got it at Urban Outfitters. And I think that's it. Y'all, my brain is just like right now. I was in the Word quite a bit of time also at the coffee shop. This is my She Reads Truth Bible. That's another little update. A lot of questions about that. It is just a regular Bible, but it has like open pages on the side. Here, you know what? I'm just gonna show y'all. Okay, so you can see that it has like plenty of space on the side that you can journal and write whatever your heart desires. I get a lot of questions asking me for YouTube videos about this. What do you think? I'm not trying to get off topic of the video because I know a lot of you guys are here for intermittent fasting, but my faith is everything to me. It is my first and foremost, and I've made that very clear on my Instagram, and so I'm not really sure how to like start sharing faith-based YouTube videos. I'm kind of in the middle of a season of trying to listen to God's voice and just hear what he has to say about that, because I do believe that I'm called to start doing that. So that being said, I am planning on doing some faith-based videos like my testimony, how I came to know Christ, when I got saved, when I gave my life to him, all of these things. I just don't know when, because to be honest, I'm on his timing and not my own. All right, that's a lot of rambling. I am heading home and I'm going to eat probably some oatmeal because it's kind of like a rainy, icky day outside, and that just sounds really cozy and yummy. And then I will sit down and talk to you. All right, so before I sit down and talk to you guys, I'm going to make some hot tea, and I wanted to share these with you guys. So these are teas that are specifically made for when you're in your fasted state, which is so nice because it helps keep me full longer, especially if I start to get like hunger or hunger pains or anything like that. And look at the flavors: cinnamon herbal, ginger green tea, which I am a huge fan of ginger everything, and then of course matcha. You can't go wrong with that. So I am starting with the cinnamon herbal fasting tea, and this is also dissolvable dissolvable in hot or cold water. Great too because they're individual servings, so like if you're on the go, if you want to take these to work, or if you're in school or anything of that nature, they're perfect for you. If you are like me and you are a fan of everything cinnamon, you would love this tea. Some of the best things about Pique tea crystals are that it has 12 times more antioxidants than other teas. Not only that, but it's triple screened. So they basically screen for heavy metals, pesticides, and mold, which, ew, why would you want that in your tea? Ow! Like I said, I'm a huge fan of Pique tea crystals. You guys obviously know that I'm not in a fasted state as of right now because I just had my first meal, but that is okay because this also caters to people that don't do fasting or intermittent fasting or anything of that nature. Personally, like I said, my favorites are the ginger green fasting tea and then the cinnamon that I just made. If you're more of a matcha tea lover, then you'll like the matcha. I just have to be in the mood for matcha. Like, it's not always my thing. evening, but every now and then. If you guys want to try out this tea for yourself, you can go to piquetea.life/Brittany for your discount, or you can click the link down in the description box, I cannot talk today, below. Thank you, Pique Tea, for sponsoring this video. And now it's time to chat. On dark, gloomy days like today, I don't really know where to set up my camera or what lights to use because it's so like icky and dreary outside, but we're gonna roll with it. Depending on how long you've been following me, you probably know that I've been doing intermittent fasting for a little over 3 years now, and I personally love it. It has been a game changer for me. It's completely shifted everything for me. It's worked incredible for me, but that doesn't mean that it's gonna work for everyone. Doesn't mean it's gonna work for you. And I strongly advise that you consult with a doctor or your physician before starting. The beautiful thing about intermittent fasting is that there are so many different approaches. So personally, I do the 16-8, which is also known as like the lean gains approach, which is what I personally do, and I love it. There's also the warrior approach. I've never understood how people do that. Props to them, major respect to them, because I could not do that. And that is basically where you fast for 20 hours and then you feed for 4. So the lean gains, I forgot to mention it, is a 16-8 approach. So I'm in a fasted state for roughly 16 hours and then a feeding window of 8. After that, you have your alternate day fasting, which I'm not super familiar with the approach to that, so I really don't want to butcher it or say something that's not true or factual, but I do know that's an option, so if you're interested in that, look it up, do some research. And then there's also the 5-2 approach, which is where you basically, you're gonna do 5 days of regular eating, so you're not gonna do a fasting, and then you're gonna do 2 non-consecutive days of cutting your calories down to about 25% of your daily intake, which I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like that's a little rigid, but to each their own. I'm sure that there are certain situations that the 5-2 approach works really well, but you know, like I said, the best thing to do to find what approach you should take or if intermittent fasting is even a good option for you is definitely to consult with your doctor. So I'm going to place my like before and after, I guess, I don't know, right here on the screen for you guys to look at. Like I said, I didn't have like a huge transformation simply because I was already at the physique that I wanted. It was more or less just convenient for me and it really suited my lifestyle, which is what got me going on it in the first place. And I made a whole list of the pros and the cons. I'm also gonna share the cons, but I made a whole list of the pros, the things that I have noticed a difference and a change within 3.5 years of doing it. And then I'm gonna list some things that I didn't quite like at first, but overcame because I got adapted and used to the process. So the first major pro that I've noticed a huge change with and that I've acquired with intermittent fasting and through intermittent fasting is increased attention and just like mental clarity. There's a lot of scientific research that has shown studies to be proven or to prove that mental clarity is a thing and a positive thing or result of intermittent fasting. I don't know what I'm trying to say, you guys, it's been a long day. But basically, there's a lot of scientific research behind that. Mental clarity, mental acuity, and focus is a thing with intermittent fasting. I've noticed that in the mornings before I feed or break my fasted state and get into my feeding window, that I can think clearer. I feel much more alert, more productive. My mind is it's just a different focus that I never had before intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting also increases your insulin sensitivity, which can in return help you lose weight. There's multiple different ways that you can lose weight with intermittent fasting, but that is one of them. Another one is, you know, you're in a certain feeding window, so you're not eating throughout the whole day. So if you're someone that is trying to lose weight and that is your initial goal, then intermittent fasting might be able to help with that. Personally, I have also noticed that I have less cravings, which I know probably sounds crazy, but it's worked for me and I've had less cravings. Intermittent fasting can also help reduce inflammation. On top of that, y'all, I've got a whole list over here of the things that it has helped me with. Improve digestion, that's a big one. You know, like back in the day, I would wake up at like 5 a.m. Before I would start my day, I would usually start it with like a bowl of oatmeal or something of that nature, and it just like, it made me feel like my digestion was off all day long. Like it made my stomach feel heavy, like all these weird things. And honestly, like intermittent fasting has just completely taken all of that away. Now, I'm not saying that like, oh, intermittent fasting is a a fix-all for bloating, because that is not the case at all. Like, you guys, you're gonna have a food baby after you eat. You're gonna get bloated progressively throughout the day once you do start eating with food and you start putting liquid in your body. That is just the nature of the human body. You cannot avoid that. And that is a whole nother rant that I'm not gonna get started on. Another thing that I personally love about intermittent fasting is you get to eat bigger, substantial meals. I loved snacking. In the past, I loved snacking, but there's nothing more depressing than your snack is a bag of celery because you've already acquired half of your calories for the day. Like, no one wants to do that. So for me, I'm just being honest, you guys. Like, for me, I love it because I have, you know, my calories to hit during my window, but I'm hitting that in a smaller amount of time. So that means I get to eat bigger, more filling meals, which I am a fan of. Scientific research has also proven that it is shown to lower blood pressure and also lower bad cholesterol. On top of that, it can help with your sleep cycle, with your circadian rhythms, all of that stuff, you guys. Like, I have noticed that my sleep has been so much better, so much better. All of that to say, of the pros, the top 3 for me that I've noticed in over 3 years of doing intermittent fasting have been insulin sensitivity. I cannot talk today. Insulin sensitivity, mental clarity. Been a huge one for me, huge, and digestion. All right, enough with all the good things about intermittent fasting. Let's get into the nitty gritty, the cons, the things that you might not like about intermittent fasting, and maybe it's not for you. Number 1, if you are somebody that loves breakfast and you love eating every hour on the dot during the entire day, intermittent fasting is not gonna be for you. I'll be the first to admit that it took me some time to get used to the intermittent fasting routine, but the reason that I stuck it out was because I was noticing all the other changes. Like I said, digestion, the mental clarity, insulin sensitivity. Oh my gosh, I'm so over that word, so over it. So, that being said, it made it easier for me to be willing to adapt to the lifestyle. Another reason you might not like intermittent fasting is if you are a big breakfast person. As soon as my feet hit the floor, I'm thinking about food, it might not be a good option for you. For me, I just want my coffee. Just give me my coffee and we're good. If and when you start intermittent fasting or try it out for the first time, you might feel a little hangry, and that's completely normal, and that's okay, but just know that it doesn't last forever. It happened to me for like the first 3 or 4 days. After the first initial 3 or 4 days, everything started falling into place, everything started clicking, I felt amazing, so just push through. You're a little hangry. If intermittent fasting is not suitable to your schedule, your daily, day in, day out schedule, whether that's work or school or your workout routine, whatever it is, if it's not going to fit well into your schedule, you'll have a higher chance of quitting. And that's okay. That is okay. Intermittent fasting is not for everyone. I made that very clear from the get-go of this sit-down conversation. So just know that from the start. If it doesn't seamlessly fit into your schedule, it's gonna be harder to be consistent with it. And the last con is that intermittent fasting can lead to low blood sugar and hypoglycemia. So that can leave you feeling really tired, dizzy, the puppies are playing with tennis balls, nauseous, fatigued, all of those things. So if you think that you're a candidate or prone to that, please consult with your doctor before even trying intermittent fasting. It is not something that I have personally ever struggled with. I've always had incredibly good blood pressure, very good sugar levels, everything. I've never had any health issues. So intermittent fasting was a great option for me and I was a great candidate for it. But if you have anything of that nature, please don't just jump into it without your doctor's approval. I already know if I don't answer this that I'm gonna get a lot of questions about it. How to start intermittent fasting. It's really as simple as picking a feeding window. The best approach to start with is a 16-8 in my opinion because it's a pretty big window to feed and it's not as big of a window to fast. If you want to be really extreme, there's, like I said, the warrior approach. I'm not a fan of that. I don't know how people do that, but props to them. When I first started intermittent fasting, I started my window at around 11 or 12. So that was enough to kind of like push me past the breakfast window and I would slowly adapt to it. Once I got adapted to that, I pushed it back to 1 o'clock And now I break my fast around 2 or 3 o'clock every day. It's just a very gradual process, and that is very, very normal, and that is okay. So pick a time of the day that you think you can push your fast to. If that's 10 a.m., great. If that's 11 a.m., great. If that's 1 p.m., great. Whatever works for you. And then you're going to start your fast at that time, and you're gonna end it 8 hours later. So when you're in your fasted state, you can have coffee, you can have water, you can have tea. The tea that I just featured earlier, you guys, great option. It keeps you full longer during your fasted state. So you can have all of these things during your window of not eating. Anything that's over, like, they say, it's like kind of blurred lines. They say anything over 15 calories. I've also heard anything over 25 calories. And then I've had people tell me anything over 30 calories. I don't know what to believe. I just know what's worked for me. I literally just start my day with coffee and a dab of creamer. Some days, if I feel like bending the rules a little bit, I'll do a little more creamer. But that is literally to the extent of my kind of bending the rules. I don't know, it's like 20 calories. So it's worked for me for 3 years. It's gonna be different for everyone. Do what works for you. And I already know there will be people in the comment section saying that breaks your fast. Well, maybe it does, but you know what? It's worked for me. So I'm sitting here telling you guys that they say anything over 5 to 10 calories does break your fast. So coffee, tea, water is an okay option during your fasted state, but do what works for you. I know intermittent fasting was kind of a trendy thing. I think it still kind of is, but don't let that be the reason that you start it. I know I started doing it before it really took off online, and I'm glad I did because I don't want to be one of those people jumping on the bandwagon. So I've been doing it for a while. I love it. I love, love, love it. I don't see myself quitting it anytime soon, but don't let a trend be the reason you start something. Do what works for you. I've said it 10 times in this video already. I'm gonna start sounding like a broken record. There is no one size fits all approach to this lifestyle. I'm trying to think of other questions that I get asked a lot. What to do during your fasted state, fed state. Okay, this is a really good one. If you are not trying to lose weight, if you are trying to maintain, like me, and you just want to stay where you're at, then please make sure you're getting enough calories during your feeding window. That's really, really important. And this is why I eat such big meals, because if I don't, it's really easy to start feeling full and then you're not getting enough calories. So make sure you make note of that if that is you. I think that's pretty much it though. I really can't think of anything else. If there are more questions about intermittent fasting, you guys can leave them in the comment section below and I will do my best to answer them per usual, because I'm sure there's plenty of other questions, but these are just the ones that I get asked a lot. And you know, the pros and the cons that I've noticed over the years. It's so gloomy outside. I'm not feeling this weather, you guys. Like I need sunshine all the time. I'm very much so one of those people that like my mood can be weather related. I hate saying that because it makes me feel like such a pansy, but on days when it's like really cloudy and gloomy outside, it's very easy for me to start feeling like just kind of down. And that's something that I've really had to learn to work through. So do things that bring sunshine to your soul. But I think that about sums up this video, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, if you have any other questions about intermittent fasting, you can leave them below and I will do my best to answer them for you all. If you guys want to see, this is kind of random again, but if you guys want to see like more faith-filled, spiritual videos on my channel, it's really been tugging and pulling on my heart. Not it, God. God has really been tugging and pulling on my heart. And so I would love to start doing that. Like I said, I don't really know what that looks like quite yet, but he will reveal that to me in due time. But yeah, if you guys want to see some stuff like that, then let me know. As always, thank you so much for stopping in on my channel, and I will see you guys in the next vlog. Bye.